Today officially brings the end of the whole entire combining NFL teams from separate states into one super mega team video type thing. I don't even know what I'm going to title this video, but today what we are going to see is what state has the best NFL teams. Now the way we are going to go about this, you guys have probably already seen the videos on my channel where we take all the teams from a particular state. These states include Pennsylvania, New York, Texas, Florida, and California. 5 separate states. We take all the NFL teams from those individual states and put their best players on the one team and see how they do throughout an NFL season. Now we've done all of those states for an individual video. If you want to go see those videos, there will be a link to my full entire experiment playlist in the description box below. But what we have done is taken all 5 of those teams from those separate videos and put them all into one individual franchise. So each one of those teams are in this specific franchise, and we're gonna see which team does reign supreme, wins the Super Bowl, which will technically declare what state does have the best NFL teams. Now, obviously, it might seem a little unfair for some states because, like, California has multiple teams, as, like, Texas only has 2, New York has 3, Florida has 3, Pennsylvania only has 2, so it might seem a little unfair, but we'll have to see if the talent from, like, the 2 teams of, like, the Texans and Cowboys can overcome, like, the 3 teams of, like, the Jaguars, the Dolphins, and Buccaneers. So hopefully that all makes sense. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this kind of mini series here on the channel in terms of Madden experience. If you did, make sure to smash that like button. Let's see if we can smash 2,000 likes to round out these videos. Subscribe if you are new and turn on the notification bell if you haven't. Also, let me know of any other experiment ideas that you do have for the channel. Also, in the comment section below, the question of the day: which state do you think is going to win the Super Bowl in today's video? And for all we know, a state might not actually win it. It might be just a random NFL team, as that would just be stupid, because obviously you have 4 NFL teams combined into one team. Obviously they might more than likely be the best team in the NFL. But anyways, I do want to go over the teams and their overalls. Most of the teams are like untouched because they weren't involved in today's video, but I do want to show you the overalls of these teams. Now the Dallas Cowboys, combination of the Houston Texans and the Cowboys, obviously at a 91 overall, 97 offense, and 91 defense. That's deadly. The Dolphins with their best players stripped down to a 59 overall. And the Philadelphia Eagles, the combination of the Steelers and the Eagles, up to a 90 overall, 97 offense, 89 defense. Next, you have the San Francisco 49ers. They've been completely stripped, obviously a part of the team from California, down to a 69 overall. The Giants, they've been stripped of their best players, down to a 61 overall. The Jacksonville Jaguars, the team of Florida, the Jags, Dolphins, and you have the Buccaneers combined to make an 87 overall team, 89 offense, 91 defense. The New York Jets, combination of the Jets, Bills, and the Giants, up to an 85 overall, 89 offense, 87 defense. Next, we're going to have the Oakland Raiders, who have been stripped of the best players, down to a 69 overall, 71 offense, 71 defense. The LA Rams, the combination of the California teams, 90 overall, 97 offense, 89 defense. And I believe that is the last team. Actually, no, the Steelers, without their best players, stripped down to a 63 overall. The Houston Texans absolutely annihilated from like an 80 overall all the way down to a 59 overall. 59 offense, 63 defense, which is disgusting. I think that is the last. No, the Buffalo Bills, 64 overall, 67 offense, 65 defense. Tampa Bay Buccaneers down to a 65 overall with their best players stripped. LA Chargers stripped of the best players down to a 70 overall, which I think is that not the highest overall team after having all their players stripped. And I think that does round out all the teams affected in today's video, which is gonna be funny, as if like that's a regular NFL team ends up winning the Super Bowl. And I am interested to see though if we do have one of the teams like the Buccaneers. I know the Chargers got extremely close to making the playoffs in their video in terms of the state of California. So if one of those teams make the Super Bowl, it'll be hilarious to show you how stupid Madden simulations are. But we'll just take a random team that's not affected by the video. Indianapolis Colts. As always, if you guys are interested in how I do these experiments and in terms of like the settings and stuff, all I literally do is turn off all the injuries. We go and put the weekly training on auto so they do get the most XP possible. And we also put auto progress players on, fill rosters off. And with that said, it's now time to officially jump into today's experiment. And again, guys, let me know in the comment section below which team you do think is going to reign supreme and prove that they are the best state in the NFL. I'm gonna just, it's gonna be a tough one. It could be Texas, it could be California. I'm gonna say Texas surprises some people and wins and prove that they have the best talent of any state out there in the NFL. It's either gonna be Texas or California. If it's not, I'm gonna be extremely shocked. In the last video we did, the Cowboys won the Super Bowl without even having the Texans' best players combined onto their team. And as we do look, the Jaguars, the Titans almost beat the Jags, dude. The Titans almost reigned supreme over the Jaguars, who had a combination of their best players, Buccaneers' best players, and the Dolphins' best players, although the Dolphins don't really help at all. But they do win the division, obviously. They should have, at 12-4 on the year. The Texans were annihilated down at 4-12. The Rams have the same exact record that they did have in the California video. At 15-1, they reign supreme. The Jaguars' second best record in the NFL, although the Eagles went 14-2, a combination of the Eagles and the Steelers. The Saints go 12-4. The state of Texas goes 12-4. The Cowboys go 11-5. So they actually did not do so well. I think they were the highest overall team across the board in terms of the team overall and the offense and defense overall, yet they had the worst record. Worst record in the league ends up going to the Giants at 0-16. Even the Dolphins, who are the worst team by far in the league without their best players, have more wins than the freaking Giants. Chargers and Raiders, so like the bottom 7 teams in terms of record are all teams that were stripped of the best players for today's video. The Vikings did have a worse record than the 49ers, which basically it was kind of tied. So technically the bottom 8 teams in the league were players or teams that were stripped of the best players for today's experiment. Are there any outliers that I'm missing here? I don't think so. So now, boys, it is time to see if one of these teams do reign supreme and prove they're the best. Now, I do, first of all, want to check out the statistics. MVP ends up going to Sam Darnold. That's not what I expected. The New York team had the top 2 players in the MVP race. Sam Darnold and Le'Veon Bell finished in the top 10 in the MVP. Pat Mahomes, Ezekiel Elliott from the team of Texas came in 4th. You had, I think that was it. Oh, Big Ben actually came in the top 10 for the team of Pennsylvania at number 10. Now, I do want to check out each and every team's statistics. Now, first of all, the team from Texas, Deshaun Watson, 3,700 yards, 34 touchdowns, 6 picks, 27 times sacked, which is very impressive. Ezekiel Elliott, how did he not win the MVP, dude? Almost 2,000 yards, 16 touchdowns on the ground, which is mental. Deshaun Watson, 3 touchdowns and 300 yards on the ground as well. Catching the football, DeAndre Hopkins led the team almost 900 yards, and Kenny Stills led the team with 11 touchdowns. It's always weird. It's like all these teams never have 1,000-yard receivers. Although they have guys like DeAndre Hopkins and Amari Cooper and Kenny Stills, nobody ever gets 1,000 yards. And it's weird how Kenny Stills had literally almost 3 times the amount of touchdowns receiving as DeAndre Hopkins. Now, in terms of defense for this team, Jalen Smith led them with almost 100 tackles, and you had DeMarcus Lawrence lead the team with a total of 8 sacks. Next team on the list is going to be the state of Pennsylvania. Big Ben, who did come in number 10 of the MVP race, 4,000 yards, 44 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions, only being sacked 25 times. Running the football, James Conner, 1,300 yards and 9 touchdowns, with Jordan Howard also helping out with 6 touchdowns on the ground. Catching the football, finally, a 1,000-yard receiver, Juju Smith, 1,100 yards, 12 touchdowns. And Nelson Aguilar with 17 receiving touchdowns, which is insane, just under 1,000 yards through the air. Now, defensively, Malcolm Jenkins led the team with 102 total tackles, and you had Brandon Graham lead the team with 10 sacks. Next team on the list is going to be the state of Florida. Nick Foles, the starting quarterback, 4,200 yards, 38 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, sacked 31 times, which is the most that we've seen thus far. Running the football, Leonard Fournette, 1,300 yards and 7 touchdowns on the ground. Catching the football, another 1,000-yard receiver, Devontae Parker, 1,047 yards and 12 touchdowns. Mike Evans with a mediocre season, 800 yards and 8 touchdowns through the air. Now defensively for the state of Florida, Levante David, 115 total tackles, and we had Calais Campbell lead the team with 7 sacks. You had Ndamukong Suh and Josh Allen, the rookie, both had 6 sacks as well. Next on the list is going to be the state of California. Phillip Rivers with an insane season, 3,800 yards, 44 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Running the football, Todd Gurley, 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns on the ground. Melvin Gordon also added with 8 touchdowns on the ground. Keenan Allen led the team with 1,000 yards and 16 receiving touchdowns. Defensively, Richard Sherman, that's weird. A cornerback led the team in total tackles with 84. And you had Aaron Donald with 13.5 sacks and DeForest Buckner with 10.5 sacks. And the last team to go over, which I completely forgot, is the state of New York. Sam Darnold won the MVP. Why? You know, compare his stats like a Big Ben. He must have had a lot of rushing touchdowns or something, because that does not warrant an MVP. 4,000 yards, 38 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Was sacked the most out of any of the quarterbacks. Now, with that said, Le'Veon Bell must have had an insane season to come in number 2. We saw Zeke's amount, almost 2,000 yards on the ground, so I'm expecting Le'Veon Bell. He had, what the heck, dude? 1,500 yards, 19 rushing touchdowns. Zeke had 2,000 yards and did not come in number 2. Le'Veon Bell did come ahead of him. Sam Darnold, I mean, he did have 6 rushing touchdowns, but still, does that warrant the MVP in comparison to some of the other guys? Now, catching the football, we had Robbie Anderson lead the team, 921 yards and 11 touchdowns through the air. And last but not least, checking out these stats, CJ Mosley led the team, 114 total tackles, and Jerry Hughes led the squad with 12 sacks on the year. Now, last but not least, dude, to officially end off this experiment series, I'm going to go ahead and simulate to the Super Bowl and see what team does make. And wow, dudes, it's only one team, and that is the LA Rams that reign supreme, taking on the Cleveland Browns in Super Bowl 54. So obviously the state of California does show that they are the best state in terms of the NFL, which does make sense because they're the most teams compiled into one. They were the only team to win in all the individual state videos. They're the only team to win the Super Bowl, and now in this video with all the teams, all the states combined into one franchise, the only team to make it to the Super Bowl. Now I do want to just, I guess we'll go ahead and simulate the Super Bowl. If they don't win it, it's going to be stupid. The Browns, no way they beat them, right? Wow! Madden is so stupid!